Well, here we go again. Another debacle of Charleston White. I almost started feeling as if Charleston had a little bit of sincerity about him, just a little bit, just a little bit. And I was like, I was respecting him just a little bit, just a little bit. But when I tell you lately, I'm like, I wasn't wrong all along. When you have someone like a Charleston White that loves to go around just stirring the pot so he can stay relevant on social media because it pays his bills, then it makes me realize he ain't got nothing else to do. This is how he make his coins, and I can't be mad at him for that. But I am mad at him for the way he's moving out here when it comes to Carmelo Anthony and the situation with Austin Metcalf and his father, Austin's father, rest in peace. And I would say Carmelo's father. Okay, but before we get into this conversation, remember that everything I say is strictly entertainment. That is all my opinion. So let's chat about it and see what's really happening. Make sure you also like, share, and subscribe, okay? Before I get into Charleston White and his foolishness, as well as Stephen A. Smith and his foolishness, I'm going to say this. If you ain't got nothing good to say, shut up. And that goes for both of them. And the reason I'm saying that is because, first of all, let me let you hear this. Let me let you hear this from Charleston.
I'm off the Carmelo Anthony case. I ain't putting no damn money toward that boy. His daddy too got weak for me. I don't like a weak. His dad ain't willing to die to go to jail for nothing. And on some bills paid. Carmelo, my heart go out to you if you ever see this video one day. I'd rather stand with the Jeff Metcalf than I would with Carmelo's daddy. Weak, docile, and conservative. I ain't standing with no weak black man. I'm off the case. I'm sending the money back. Go get them weak Benjamin Trump here. I'm out.
And then I'm going to let you hear this from Stephen A. Smith.
To me, I've been very, very hesitant to comment on this because obviously all the facts, you want to make sure that you have all the facts in play and what have you. And upon reading about the facts, hearing what happened from witnesses, from what was they said, Carmelo Anthony told them what happened himself, and what information and what evidence was deduced, we're looking at the fact that he was sentenced to 35 years. What I'm getting tired of is folks coming to the situation a bit late. All of this noise that's being made about the verdict. How come the noise wasn't made from open and tap to make sure proper representation was provided? So therefore, we couldn't be sitting back after a sentencing of 35 years in prison was handed down, looking to correct the error of the court's ways in your mind. Let me state for the record and get this out the way right now. I am not happy that Carmelo Anthony got sentenced to 35 years. I'm not happy with the sentencing because I'm not happy with the makeup of the jury. 18 jurors, about 6 minorities, none of whom happen to be black. I don't believe that's being judged by a jury of your peers. Here's the reality, though. That's all I can say. That is all I can say. Carmelo Anthony murdered Austin Metcalf. There is no other way to slice it. Explain. You, at a track meet, appearing in a visitor's tent, Austin Metcalf and his brother, according to reports, come over to you asking you to leave because you're sitting under their tent. An argument ensues. Folks have said it spanned more than 5-6 minutes. Others said it went as long as 15. A two-hand shove is believed to have happened. by one witness. Another witness said it was a one-hand shove. How does that justify Carmelo Anthony pulling out a knife and stabbing Austin Metcalf to death? How? How?
Okay, now I'm going to talk about the real important stuff right now. Jeff Metcalf has every right. And I'm not no bootlicker, no kiss up, no none of that. Because I don't really care how people feel about anything. Because my mind is my mind, okay? And I think for myself. But when it comes to a Jeff Metcalf, the father of Austin Metcalf, rest in peace, the young man that whose life was taken by Carmelo, right? And his brother Hunter, and I think he has a third child as well. When I hear this man be on TV, on the internet, and he's mad and he's going off and he's telling people off and he's furious, I don't blame him. And I understand why he feels the way he feels from experience. Because I said it once, I'm going to say it and shout it forever. I lost my daughter. And no one can tell a parent how to feel when they cannot call and hear their child's voice on the phone. When you look at their number in the phone, you call and it just rings if the phone is still on. You cannot go to any of their celebratory events. You cannot hear their voice. You cannot get a hug. You cannot have any grandchildren if you haven't been fortunate enough to have one before they are taken from you, whether it's, prematurely or something else happens or whatever, regardless of the age. The pain is real, and I know. So when I hear this man upset, yelling, cussing at people, and going off, that's a man that's in pain. That's a man that's missing their child. And that's a man, when all this die down, he's going to probably second guess some of the things he said. Because I know personally he's speaking from a point of hurt. And he has every single right to do that. When you have to go to court with a person and they're sitting right there by you, like you can jump up and grab them if it was legal, it take a whole lot of restraint in your own self not to jump up and grab them, regardless of the age, regardless of whoever that person is, right? It takes a lot not to go off on that person. When you see the person who took your child's life sitting right there in front of you, you have nothing but, Lord forgive me, but it's so true, but hate for them. You don't want no good. Nothing good to come to them. You don't care what happens to them in the penitentiary. You don't care who messes with them. You don't care who does what to them. You are angry because they took something precious to you. And no one knows how that man feels unless you have lost your child. And I can understand that. So it has nothing. I don't care what nobody says or how they like what I'm saying. I don't care. It has nothing to do with anybody being white. And that's the thing that irks me because everybody has to make everything about black and white. The way the courts treat African Americans and white people are different. Okay? I don't care if you're white. Hey, I can't hate the hustler. You got to hate the game. Hey, if you are white, then hey, I don't mind you standing up for what you mean. You ain't had nothing to do with how God made us. But if you're us, then we coming from a different perspective. So when it comes to the court system, it's a history that they treat, especially our young males, differently. They are more harsh on them. They paint this picture of them that may not be completely depicting the correct picture. Okay, but they only know, and the jury only knows about the evidence that they are receiving and they're seeing, and that is it. They don't know if you helped the old woman cross the street today. They don't know if you saved the life, as they said Carmelo had when he was younger. They don't know if you have a sick grandmother at home and you take care of them. All they know is from the evidence, this is what you're accused of doing, this is what you did based on the evidence, and this is how they feel. And they got a rule based on that, right? Most times. Now, this mother is taking things from a different perspective. She's not choosing to go public. She's not choosing to talk about it yet. Because eventually she'll probably say something. And some people are more private and they don't get into all the social media stuff. So I get that. Doesn't mean her pain is any different. It means that she's hurting. She carried that child. She birthed that child. So the connection even to a father and a child and a mother and a child are different. We all love them, but it's just a different connection, right? So the mother is dealing with it differently. After all these years with my daughter happened in 2019, I'm just getting to the point where I can talk about it without breaking down and crying. I still cry. I have my days. It's not as often as before, but I have my days where I tear up because you miss your child. You miss your child. You feel like you were robbed. You felt like somebody took her away from you or him away from you. So all I can say is I understand the way this man feels. He does not care how anyone feels. That was his baby, his son. He misses him. So y'all can kick bricks. He don't give a care. And he would probably cuss all y'all out from now to the end. Okay? The problem with this situation, it happens to be a black boy and a white victim. My position is with this. Ain't nothing against Jeff Metcalf. He feels the way he feels, and he is not wrong how he feels. Nobody can say he is. So, whatever. And I'm not asking for no brownie points from nobody. This is just how I'm feeling from someone who's experienced it, okay? When you got to say goodbye to your child forever on this side, okay? You dealing with it. You got to get through the hurt before you heal. That's how it is. You got to deal with the hurt before you heal. And when it's so public like this, it does not help. Because in addition to dealing with the pain of losing your child and not being there to protect them, because you always feel like you're supposed to protect your child, you always second guess yourself like, why couldn't I have been there? I could have stopped this from happening. You know what I'm saying? It's just a whole nother situation. I don't want to stay on the soapbox for so long, but it's a big part of why he's acting out the way he's acting. That man is hurting. He is hurting. So you got to give him grace. I do think he's saying some ugly things. Certain things come out your mouth shouldn't come. And I think with time, he's going to probably regret some of them if he has it in him, if he feels like it. But if he feel like it and he comes back, it may be years down the road when he's had time to, you know, get his mental together with all of this. It don't happen. It's not going to happen no time soon. So y'all just leave him alone. Leave him alone. But what I will say, the reason I take the position I take, it has nothing to do with Carmelo being black. It is the situation that led up to it that I'm talking about, okay? When it comes to the court system, I feel like it was an emotional trial. And I feel like that came down to race. I personally do. I feel like this was a white boy and this was a black boy that killed him, and they wasn't having it. That's just my opinion. They was not having it. The reason I take the position I take with this is because we all know and that it was wrong for him bringing the knife. We don't know why. I don't want to guess because I don't know. But what I will say, I don't know what he's been through and why he felt that he needed to bring one. I just don't. Okay, but he had his reasons. So when you think about him going into the track meet, if you ever been to a track meet, there are a whole lot of people in the parking lot, a whole lot of people at the gate taking money. It's a whole lot of people when you walk in. Just a whole lot of people. Even though it was early, you still have quite a bit of people there. I personally feel if he came in there with the intent of being rah-rah and going off on somebody and cause and wanting to actually take someone's life, he had every opportunity to do that because no one knew what. They did not know what was in his bag. Nothing came out his bag that shouldn't have been in there, that should have been there, none of that, until he was pushed. People are equating the push to the force of the knife, right? Of course, we know a push don't warrant nobody being stabbed. I mean, come on, like that's stupid. Of course, it does not. But I don't know all the detail what happened between that point. There's some intricate information in there. And let me say this: I used to work for an attorney office, right? And I know when you go to court, a judge can allow and disallow evidence to be heard by the jury. Okay, if he disallows information that is pertinent, that could possibly sway this jury, the jury never gets that information. They're going to make a decision based on the information that they hear, right? They don't have the other information to hear or see or anything. But the judge controls that courtroom at the end of the day. You have attorneys that present the information, but the judge controls what is heard and ultimately does. I don't care how much deposition you do on both sides, that judge is going to control what is heard by those jurors in that courtroom. So, when I hear different people saying that they've requested the full documentation from the court and that they've seen the full video and what the witnesses said before to the police and what the witnesses are saying like a year or whatever later, it has changed. There's a reason for the change. Okay? There's a reason for the change. So that leaves things a little ambiguous in my mind. And I'm like, okay, why is the story changing? Something either the black, white, and blue, or there's black, white, and blue. There's no change. I mean, if something happened this way, it happened this way. Okay? So if there is tape out there that was recorded, why was that not heard in totality by the jury? That's number one. Number two, and big number two for me is why did they not have a black juror? I don't care what Jeff Metcalf said, that they didn't know how to fill out the paperwork. Unless someone slow, you know that you don't put down that you can't rule on the case fairly because he's black, unless you don't want to be part of the trial. I think it's a little bit more than that. I really think it's a little bit more than that, because if they're educators, they know better. I think it's a little bit more as far as why they scratched them off and released him. I don't care what nobody says. I think several things should have happened to make sure everything was followed properly. They should have made sure they moved the venue of that trial to a more diverse area, so they could get somebody in there who knows how to fill out the paperwork. Okay? So you can have someone that's a minority on that jury. It makes no sense. I don't care if you black or white. Whatever y'all say, they should have had someone black on that jury. Someone who can think like this young man. Someone who can take the ambiguity out from anyone's mind. Like, what are these people listening to? What are they already? I mean, you think about it. These people came to a verdict in such a quick time frame. Such a quick time frame. It is absurd. They shipped this young man off, cut his hair. It's like they were humiliating him. You know, it kind of reminds you of back in the day. So, because of the history of this country, and people, because just like we cannot identify if you have never lost a child with how the father is feeling, Caucasian people cannot identify with being black. We can't identify with being white. You know what I'm saying? We just can't do it because we don't have that experience. And that is why I said they should have had someone black on that jury. They should, but I feel like they didn't want to have a mistrial. That's why they didn't. Okay. But the judge absolutely positively controls the flow of that court and the information. And I feel like there was some stuff that was hidden. And I personally feel that they need to get a change of venue. They need to definitely don't look at that little short bus attorney they had. That was a bust down attorney. That was a Timu attorney. Okay? That man was actually a legit attorney. He was not an attorney that worked for legal aid and all this stuff, prepaid legal. Nah, legal aid. He was not a legal aid attorney. He used to work for legal aid many moons ago when he first came out of law school, and then he had a promotion, but now he's in private practice. So that is not true. That is a lie. Okay, but they don't need him. He was not the one. Ain't no way on God's green earth I would have had that man. Ain't nothing they would have told me, but I got a strong mind. So none of that would have worked here. I would have fought for a change of venue. I would have been fussing, stomping my foot for a change of venue. If he couldn't fight, I would have made him fight. Okay? For a change of venue. That's number one. He needed to, and I ain't talking about no change of venue across town to another county. It needed to move. It needed to move somewhere so that child can get a fair trial. And if it came out like that, then it would have just had to been what it is. But I don't feel like he had a fair trial. That's just my opinion. I'm sure plenty of people don't agree with that, right? And I think all the information wasn't heard, and I don't think all the witnesses were fair. So, regardless of everything that happened, you're supposed to have a fair trial. I don't feel like that was had. I think they need to, of course, get the appeal, change the venue, get another attorney, and they're gonna have to go back through this again. And I believe that's what's gonna end up happening. So I'm gonna leave that right there with that. And Jeff Metcalf, I understand how you feel, sir. I understand. So I'm not mad at you, but you don't have to be so harsh and call people racial names, because that ain't cool. That's just not cool. That's just my opinion. But back to Charleston White. I feel like Charleston White does and says anything for clicks and views, because that's how he make his coins. That's how he make his money. Being loud, obnoxious, and think he knows so much. He was with the white folks. He went to educate with them, and he knows this and that. So what? You done read some books and you feel as if you got a little knowledge because you retain certain information in the books. Okay, you focused on certain areas. Okay, but I think it's a disservice to your culture, regardless of what you think you are. I knew he was faking the funk, telling me he gonna give somebody $75,000. I knew he only probably had $75,000 to give nobody. I knew that was a lie. But he was all crying, all that acting stuff. This is somebody's child, and this is a life. You know what I mean? That is on the line, for sure, for sure. We don't need nobody like him stepping in, saying they're gonna be on the side of the father or the son, the mom, and none of that, just to come back and retract his statements and say, oh, I don't have nothing to do with the daddy. He weak. He weak. What is wrong with you? Social media got people just acting real stupid, and it makes no sense. If you ain't really want to be there to help these people, you needed to shut up and sit down. Everything ain't about the clicks and views. You are a disgrace to social media. You be trying to act like you're so educated and you so smart and you know so much or whatever, because you got some probably 2-year degree from somewhere. All right. And you talk about how you didn't kill somebody and watch them. That's so ignorant. I don't care what color they are. Why would you go on live and say you didn't took someone's life? I mean, I don't watch them. What are you talking about? You are such an idiot, Charleston White. You talk about your wife. You done talked about some of everybody. Boosie. You talk about everybody. And you never put your money where your mouth is. Your mouth is all out there by itself. And I'm so sick of you. For you to get on here and talk about his father is weak, that's why you not help Carmelo anymore. And, he'd rather be on Jeff Metcalf's side. You could have stayed on Jeff Metcalf's side. Nobody didn't care. The reason you switched is because Jeff Metcalf pulled your card. He told you, I got something for you, basically. He wasn't backing up from your little narrow, skinny behind. He wasn't playing with you because you had them rocks to his roller. You don't know who he knows. And you live in Texas. So you started thinking about, I better pump my brakes. So that's the reason why you started shedding up. It had nothing to do with him being weak. You don't know what these people going through. People will say at least they could go see their child in jail. Who want to go see their 19-year-old child in jail? And he has no criminal record. As far as you as a mother knows, he, shouldn't be there. As far as you care, just like Jeff don't feel like his son should be deceased, they don't feel like their child should be in jail because he was protecting himself. Everybody has a different perspective depending on who the source is. But if you was not going to be there and be sincere to help this family, then you should have stayed out. Dr. Candace Matthews, I love her. I really, really do. I respect her so, so much because she's an advocate, right? In Texas. And she be about her business. I do her. I like her. I like her. Don't know a whole lot about her. She said that she was working along with Charleston White. And I know she probably hated she said that because Charleston White, Miss Matthews, is a joke. He's a facade. He's childish. He's immature, and he does not need to be with any sort of caliber woman like you. You are leaps and bounds from him. So you don't get yourself wrapped up with Charleston White. Charleston White is a joke. Don't let him mess up your move. Don't let him mess up the way you move. And you are good. You don't need him because he's full of crap. Okay, so Charleston, stay talking about the rappers. Stay going on the TV and stuff like that. Stay on there on that side. But when it comes to serious stuff and talking about someone's life, nobody believes in you. Nobody should believe in you. Jeff Metcalf called you out a jerk and dumb. And that you are all of those things. And I'm not going to keep talking about you. I think you ignorant and you need to sit down and leave people, stay out of people's real life. Stay a cartoon character on TV. But right now, you messing with people real life and you trifling. I'm going to say this and I'm going to get up out of here. Stephen A. Smith also was on the bandwagon. And he another one. He another one. If you don't have nothing good to say, just don't say nothing. You understand what I'm saying? These people that feel like they have... Let me tell you something about white folks, okay? People like you when you are your true self. If I'm around a group of white folks, they just like any other people to me. I don't have to change who I am. They love me because I'm me. And I'm Carolyn. And I don't be around here trying to be nobody else. People love you because you're genuine. People don't like flip-floppers. Because they want to be able to trust you. Okay? And we have such a bad reputation within our community, being on the outside and being white. I understand why they sometimes feel the way that they feel. Because we hurt each other more than we hurt anyone else. So I get it. But my thing again, if you don't have nothing good to say, just shut up. Stephen A. Smith had a point. He was talking about, that he was asked to move, just like Judge Hatchett said, he should have moved, stating that, of course, we know a knife don't equal a push. Come on now. We don't know everything because they're saying there's two different stories out there, right? Stephen A. Smith made a comment that it's the murking. It's the M word. And he's sorry. It just... the force he used does not equate to what he did to him. Let me say this. If you know anything about a track meet, tents are everywhere. Everywhere. People sit where no one owns a space. You just claim it for that day, right? So if I sit somewhere and someone doesn't want me there and they ask me to move, and I'm not moving. Then if you, as a young adult, you go get an administrator, someone who can control that situation. You don't put your hands on people. You don't put your hands on people. That's anybody. You remember Stephen A. Smith? When LeBron came and stepped to you and told you to keep his son name out your mouth, I don't think I heard too much else from your mouth when it came to that. But LeBron stepped to you because he was sick of you. Because of your mouth. And all this freedom of speech stuff, I get. But you have to respect a person's private space. At least you should. Okay? And when he stepped to you, you ain't just walk away. What you did, you stopped and stood there. Almost like you was going to dare him to do anything. Because you know if he had done it, what would have happened? You've been suing him or whatnot. But you ain't just move and keep walking. You stood your ground and wanted to stay there and stand up to him. Why you ain't walk away? Why did you stay there? So I hate the pot calling and kettle black. When LeBron stepped to you, you ain't react that way. You ain't go off and be loud about it. You had your little words or whatever, but why you ain't walk away? You went on your little show and said a few things slick, but nobody know. We know when it come down to it, you wasn't gonna be about that. But my biggest thing, if you don't have nothing good to say, regardless of what you think on the other side, if you had a big platform, out of the pure history of how we are treated, on the pure history of being a young black boy and teenager, now man, on the pure grounds of knowing how life is sometimes for us. Not because you have made it or you think you're in a better position than somebody else. Just keep your mouth quiet. I'm not saying you can't have your opinion, but to be so like matter of fact about it when you don't have all the evidence, because obviously there's more than one video and audio from this situation, then wait till you hear it all. Let's hear everything. And if it comes out that we heard it all and he intentionally went in there and just bam, and the boy ain't fall on it like with push and fell on it, then hey, what can we do but pray? But right now you don't know it all, so let's just hear it all. And if you got a big platform, just chill. If you ain't got nothing supportive, this young man is in a situation to fight for his life. If he did it, he got to pay the price like everybody else in a sense where it was intentional. My biggest thing, that manslaughter wasn't even considered. That's what like manslaughter, you guys don't even consider that if the judge put it out there. He didn't intentionally come because he brought them. Okay, let me say this real quick. I don't know if you guys remember Kyle Rittenhouse years about in 2020 or something like that. He was in Wisconsin and they was rioting. And him and some more guys, they was carrying AR-15s. They was big guns, big guns. And they was walking through the city. They was rioting, doing all this certain things. And Kyle shot 3 people, fatally injured 2, and 1 wounded, right? And it was white on white. He pleaded self-defense. And they found him innocent and acquitted him. Even though he was 17 at the time, he wasn't even allowed to carry a gun of that caliber. And you walking down the street with it, they found him innocent, okay? And he kept all the money. He raised over like $2 million. The mother raised some. He raised over like $2 million. And after he was found innocent, he was able to keep the money. That the difference after attorney and all the expenses were paid. Okay, now you got the situation, except it's a black kid and he took the life of a white child. Nobody's life being taken is fair game. You don't give nobody life, you don't take nobody life. And if you do it maliciously and intentionally and all that stuff, you gotta go up the road. Okay, Carmelo, in comparison to him, again 17, he was at a track meet somewhere he should have been. Kyle was in Wisconsin, Kanoa, I think, Wisconsin, somewhere he didn't even live there. It was an assault rifle. And then Carmelo had some people call it tool, some people call it knife, but it's a 6-in-1 like tool, and it had a knife on it. The blade was 3.5 inches, right? So that's why some people call it tool, some people are calling it actual knife because it encompassed the knife as well. All right, but the other guy had a AR-15. He had a big gun. Okay, and then when he actually killed 2 people, shot the one. Then of course, we understand what happened to Austin. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to the other young men. All right. And then Kyle, which is was a 17-year-old white guy at the time. He was found innocent, and Carmelo was found guilty of the M word. That's a big comparison and a big difference in the treatment too. They found him innocent though. And if you think about the situation with Julian Conley, 19, in Atlanta, remember years ago, they had the 8-year-old baby that was in the car with her mom, and her mom was going through the barricade, and she wouldn't stop, and they thought they heard shooting, and they started shooting. It was 3 different guys or whatnot, and they started shooting, but the guy, Julian Conley, ended up shooting, and his bullet is what they said ended up killing the baby. Well, he was found guilty. And they was rioting because the young man Rashad Brooks his life was taken by a police officer in Atlanta. He fell asleep in his car behind Wendy's, and I think the guy tried to wake him up. The cop tried to wake him up. He tried to run over him. The cop started shooting, or whatever the case may be. It's been a while ago, but anyway, nevertheless, he was 19 and he was found guilty. Why they was rioting with guns? They shouldn't be able to have guns in riot because energy is high. Somebody is bound to lose their life, and that was just a very bad and tragic situation. You ain't hear me on here talking about him. I mean, he should not have let loose shooting in a car. They're stating that the mother of the young girl, Sequoia, the little 8-year-old name, and they were stating that her mom was driving through the barricade and hit someone, and that's what started everything. So they was trying to say that situation is what started everything, and then they thought that they heard shots, and then they start retaliating. So they was trying to do the self-defense thing, but it didn't work. So I don't know. I just think we all know and we can attest from back in the day, we were not treated fairly. So I just want to come and talk about that. I'm really passionate about what's going on. And just because you know, I can connect to this in more ways than one. And I really feel as if that everyone want to feel like the bottom of this has been heard and what actually happened. And however the chips fall, if God says so and it's proven for sure and all things are done properly and in order, we can only do and accept the verdict. But right now, a lot of people are not happy and they feel like he was mistreated. So anyway, make sure y'all drop a comment. And I just want to come and I want to talk to you guys about it because I'm sick of Charleston White and Stephen A. Smith. He just, Stephen A. Smith. But Charleston White is so anal and aggravating and wannabe generic bookworm, and I'm tired of him. And so he need to shut up. Just shut up, Charleston White. Just shut up. Like, share, and subscribe.